Hi, we're here at the EdTech Business Forum, and I'm standing with Lou Pugliese. Lou has a long history of educational technology innovation and is most recently the chairman of a company called eThority, working in the post-secondary arena most heavily. Lou, what is the one trend you see that's most likely to have a positive impact in education?
I would have to say, with my experience going back to the late 90s in learning management systems, I think the next category is really going to be e-learning 3.0. And the way I describe e-learning 3.0 is very different than the way we composed e-learning way back in the late 90s, which was very linear. You took a course, you got online, you went from A to Z, you took an assessment, and you moved on to the next course. We're in a very different marketplace right now. 92% of public institutions in the U.S. have adopted e-learning. We've got the emergence of the for-profit marketplace, the 100% marketplace online, the global industry adoption of e-learning, 15 million students only in the last 10 years. It's the fastest adoption of any technology in education in the history of education. Next generation e-learning is going to involve 4 new elements within learning management. Open content, outcomes and assessment, the usage of social media as part of e-learning, as well as open source. So in terms of open content, the ability to move content across in an unstructured way, not in a linear way that we did in the late 90s and early 2000s. In terms of outcomes, the ability to track students' behaviors online, to be able to have a good understanding of engagement, student engagement, not only from the assessment perspective, but the behavioral perspective, not unlike the same way that when you and I go to Walmart, we get scanned for what we purchase, and they understand our behaviors of how we purchase. Well, the same thing is true for higher education in terms of how we're going to look at students in terms of how they're learning and how they're progressing and who's at risk and who's not.
So it's the student as the consumer of education and getting that same consumer understanding. Is that right?
Absolutely, and it also gives students, the end consumers of education, their own ability to track their own learning and to be responsible for their own learning. Open source is obviously with Moodle rooms and the convergence of Moodle rooms and a variety of other different systems in a mashup environment in an e-learning space, obviously is a global adoption trend that will continue. And in terms of social media and social learning, the ability for many different students to interact with each other via new technologies. Universities are looking for ways to legitimize social media, and that's going to be a future trend in how e-learning emerges.
Thank you very much, Lou, and enjoy the